What's up guys, I'm Yuri and welcome to my channel. Today we're checking out the glorious Model O wireless. You have most likely seen and read multiple reviews already, and there are many questions on the wireless tech and the sensor performance. I will try to make those things clear for you in this review. If you have been living under a rock for the past year, you might not know that there is a wired Model O also. The wired Model O did have some issues at the start with build quality and the cable, but I'm happy to say that the build quality has been improved a lot on the wireless version. My unit has no bottom, no side and no top flex. There is absolutely no creaking, but there is some rattle when you shake the mouse. This rattle does not happen at all in normal use. When you hold the Model O wireless in hand, it just feels like it's very well built. It feels a lot more refined and feels like a high quality product. The main button switches on the Model O are Omron 20Ms. The button tensioning is done very well and the clicks feel very crispy and are still easy to actuate. There is very minimal side play when you're really forcing it, but nothing to be felt in normal situations. There is also very minimal pre-travel and minimal post-travel. You can pretty much only trigger the post-travel if you really use a lot of force. And I think that this amount of post-travel is good to have in a mouse for the clicks to feel soft. For those games that need it, it's very easy to spam click either one of these buttons. There is some variance on the left and the right click on my unit. The left click is just a little bit more tactile. The actuation force starts to grow quite a lot considering how far back do you click the button from. Actuating is very easy from the front edge of the mouse, but from the back part of the button it actually requires quite a bit of force. This is quite normal and very usual, but not exactly to this extent. This inconsistency does not bother me at all though. I usually hold my fingers right near the middle of the mouse buttons and that's where the actuation is easy. The side buttons are quite crispy and they have pretty much no pre-travel, but there is quite a bit of post-travel. Because of the crispy feeling, the post-travel does not bother me too much on the side buttons. And I can only trigger the post-travel with quite a bit of force. The side button placement is very good for my hand size and grip style. It's very easy to click either one of the buttons. But I wish that they would be a little bit bigger as I feel that they are quite small. The scroll wheel is quite smooth and it lacks a little bit of tactility. The steps are still defined and it's good in general use and in gaming, but it's nothing special really. The scroll wheel button is very easy to actuate and that's a plus if you for example use it in game. The main buttons don't really have a premium kind of feeling, but functionally they are just very good for gaming and general use. My unit has a double clicking issue with pretty much any debounce setting, but I've talked to many people that have the mouse and no one else seems to have this issue, so I'm not gonna make a big number out of it. Glorious support is very good, so if you happen to get any issues, you can just contact them and get a new unit. All in all, I would say that the main buttons are very good, the side buttons are good, and the scroll wheel is sort of okay. Let's quickly talk about the shape of the Model O wireless. It's maybe the least interesting part of this review because the shape is so known for many people. It's of course the exact same as the standard Model O and it's quite close to Zowie FK and the Razer Viper. It's very low profile but quite wide and quite long. Not very optimal for claw grip or fingertip grip. I would say it's alright to claw grip or fingertip grip if you have medium to large hands. Smaller hands might need to palm grip this mouse. I myself did manage to get a quite comfortable claw grip with the Model O wireless, but for my preference the mouse is just a little bit too wide and a little bit too long. But in general the shape is very safe, and if you have those small hands and prefer larger mice, this can still work for you. A larger issue than the shape for me is the coding on the Model O wireless. It's quite grippy to start with, but on longer sessions my hands get sweaty with the Model O wireless. And when my hand gets sweaty, the mouse is incredibly slippery on the sides. This sort of ruins my grip, my concentration and my aim. I haven't had this kind of issue before and I didn't experience this with the standard Model O, but for me personally the coding is quite bad. Combine that with an unoptimal shape, it's not quite the mouse for me. Moving on to the BAMF sensor. It's basically a Pixar 3370 with a custom glorious SRAM. People have reported that they are feeling things like angle snapping, motion delay and smoothing. I can confirm that there is no smoothing or angle snapping on my unit. I did quite extensive testing for angle snapping and found no consistent irregularities. But regarding motion delay, if you have been listening to Triple Click podcast, you might already know that there is more motion delay on the Model O wireless than on the Razer Viper Ultimate and the Logitech G Pro wireless. For the exact numbers you should check out Sokol's review. I will link it in the description when it's done. But keep in mind that numbers can be deceiving. The wireless tech these days is very fast, so a mouse that can have 4 times more motion delay is not exactly unresponsive. In practice, you might even not feel a difference between the Razer Viper Ultimate and the glorious Mallow Wireless. I myself am a very high tier competitive player, as some of you might know I used to play professionally, and I barely recognized any difference in the Mallow Wireless and the Viper Ultimate. And I cannot tell if there is motion delay difference between the two. So you really should not need to worry about angle snapping, smoothing or motion delay. Then again, knowing the fact that the Mallow Wireless is just not as fast as the best ones on the market could affect your mindset. And that can of course impact your performance. That's something that initially happened to me. I knew the mouse is not as responsive as the best ones and I performed worse because of that. After about 4 days of use, the mouse felt as good as any wireless mouse on the market. So you should not worry about the motion delay, and you don't need to worry about angle snapping or smoothing. The feet on the Mallow Wireless are the standard glorious mouse feet. These are very consistent and smooth, but they are not the fastest ones. The feet glide very well on my Artisan Zero, my Extrafly GP4, and my Endgame Gear MPC 450. The experience is good, but the speed can be improved with aftermarket feet. But you are definitely not forced to upgrade these feet. The charging cable on the Mallow Wireless is very flexible. This is by far the best charging cable on a wireless mouse in the market. With this cable you could even play on wired mode if you wanted. The plug on the cable is also USB-C, which will make a lot of people happy. I myself don't really care if it's USB-C or micro USB, but high-speed charging with the USB-C cable is always nice though. The wireless dongle and the adapter are white on the white unit. At least on my desk, this looks a lot nicer than the Logitech ones. Looking at the drivers, we got a wide range of different RGB effect options. There is also the possibility of reassigning any key you want. You can for example change the DPI button to be a battery status check button. Clicking the button will toggle the scroll wheel RGB, and that will indicate the battery percentage. I'm not sure how good this feature actually is, because for me 80% does seem to be yellow for example. In the performance tab you can change the DPI in increments of 50, you can set the lift-off distance to 1 or 2 mm and set the debounce time. With the newest firmware there is even the 0 millisecond debounce setting, but you might suffer with some double clicking on that setting. For polling rate you should always use the highest available option. Glorious does claim that the battery life on the Mallow Wireless is the highest in any wireless gaming mice. I can't confirm or deny, but the battery life is very good for me. I used the mouse for about 3 days with RGB enabled. That includes 8 hours of working and some free time use. But time to conclude the review. The build quality is very good, the buttons are very good, the sensor is good, the wireless tech is good, and the mouse feet are good. The wireless tech can be improved in terms of wireless delay, and the sensor can be improved in terms of motion delay. But as I already mentioned, in practice the difference is so small to the best ones in the market that you can't really notice a difference. The Mallow Wireless is also way cheaper than the Razer Viper Ultimate, the G Pro Wireless and the G Pro Superlight. It provides very good value for money. If you can live with the shape, the Logitech G305 provides even more value for your money and has better wireless tech. But there are a lot of features missing from that mouse and a lot of people don't like the shape. So at this moment the Mallow Wireless might provide the most value for your money. If you can forget the fact that this mouse is not quite as good as the competition, I can easily recommend this mouse for you. But having that thought in the back of your mind can of course decrease your performance. But again, in practice there is pretty much no difference. In the end it comes down to the fact that do you prefer value for your money or the absolute best performance. I'm confident that playing with the Mallow Wireless for about 2 more weeks will make it perform just as well for me as the Razer Viper Ultimate. I just don't want to do that because I'm not a fan of the shape. But that's pretty much it for the review. It's very nice to see these massive improvements that Glorious has made. And it's also very nice to see a quality wireless unit for under 100 euros. Big thank you for Max Gaming for providing me with the review sample. For us Europeans, Max Gaming is at least very good place to buy peripherals from. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you enjoy my content, hit that subscribe button, and see you in the next one.